Thanks to Walkden Entertainment, I was lucky enough to get a screener to see a new bear horror movie called Savage Hunt, and I want to talk about this one with you guys, so let's get into it. So Savage Hunt, if you don't know, is basically a bear horror movie. It's a direct-to-video type of movie, so I was expecting plenty of schlock here, and I was hoping for a very fun and entertaining, silly bear horror movie where it just gets to kill a bunch of people. And in some respects, that is kind of what we get. You do get a bear that's roaming the woods that is trying to kill a bunch of people. It's just on the loose, and you're trying to understand why exactly it wants to kill a bunch of people, and that's kind of the mystery behind it all. To be honest, this is a very, very amateur production, and it feels like that every step of the way. There is a lot of poor filmmaking craft here that make this a pretty tough watch, and sometimes it just doesn't exactly justify being that silly bear horror movie that I was hoping for. I think some things that were pretty good to laugh at were just the way that some of these kills were set up. The characters here are just really stupid all the way throughout. I mean, everyone is very aware that there is this killer bear roaming the woods, and it is just finding whatever human it can and is just murdering them. And what do? They send off one person alone to go do it. And it kind of happens a few times where one person kind of goes, oh, I guess I can take them, or oh, I'm just going to roam the woods, even though everyone in this town understands that there is a bear going around murdering people. Why would anyone want to go near those woods? Why would someone want to go it alone when it has clearly killed a lot of people with weapons before? Why don't you just send a whole team to go and take out this bear? That seems very logical, but the movie doesn't want to do that. And I think that's actually adds to the entertainment value of this movie. I actually think it's a benefit to this movie because it's so silly in doing that. And I love that kind of stuff in a direct-to-video movie. Is it pretty stupid writing? Of course it is, but that's what I want from these movies. I'm not expecting something like Begonia or Frankenstein here. I'm expecting just a silly, fun, entertaining bear movie. And if you're going to do some of this silly decision making to get there, I'm on board for that. And I actually kind of look at that as a bit of a pro, weirdly enough. Some other things that were just pretty silly with this movie are straight up the visual effects and the look of this bear. Sometimes they use almost B-roll footage of a bear roaming around the woods, and I guess that looks realistic. But then other times it's just a full CGI bear, or even other times it looks like a man in a bear costume trying to grab a car or do whatever. It's just so haphazard, it's very sloppy, and it doesn't look good at all. They use as much darkness as possible to hide the shoddy visual effects, but they're that bad that they shine through anyway. You cannot hide how abhorrent these visual effects can be. And by God, they are just not good at all. The way this bear looks, the way it moves, it all just feels completely unrealistic and very silly. It looks worse than just a student production. It really does. It looks like someone is just playing around in After Effects and trying to make a bear come to life. I would say the most entertaining scene in this film has to do with the bear trying to get into a car. It's absolutely hilarious. Once again, the decision making here is just so stupid in what they're trying to do. They elongate this process as long as possible, and it is devoid of any tension because the characters are so silly in their decisions that it's like, just honestly, the bear just killed them already. They haven't earned this, to be honest with you. Moments like that, once again, add to the entertainment value of this movie, even if it is a very sloppy production. But unfortunately, that isn't really what the bulk of this movie is. When it does hit on that stuff, it's great, and it's what I wanted from this movie. But in other times, a good portion of this movie is just establishing landscape shots of the forest. And yeah, it's fine to do it once or twice to understand where we are and kind of set up something where it's like this bear could be anywhere in these vast woods. You don't know. But when it's like every second scene, every second shot is a slow pan over the woods, it gets a bit tiresome and a little bit annoying. And it feels like it's trying to elongate its runtime. It feels so artificial in that execution that I can just see right through it. And it doesn't add anything to the movie. It feels like pure filler, and it's unenjoyable to watch after a while. And it makes it very boring at times. This movie runs for about an hour and a half. And it does feel too long, which is pretty wild for a movie that's not that long and is just trying to be a pretty fun bear horror movie. Yes, there are some fairly schlocky scenes that make it entertaining enough for about 30 minutes, but other than that, it really is just poor filmmaking the whole way around, and there's not really much to take away from this movie in terms of anything really memorable. It doesn't stand up to any of the good, like, schlocky monster movies that are out there. I absolutely could not stand these characters as well. I mean, they're pretty incompetent in terms of their performances, unfortunately. Once again, it's very amateurish, and it feels like they're just fed the weakest dialogue imaginable. It almost makes me think it's like, does everyone here know that they're making a really terrible movie? They trying to do something great, or are they just phoning it in? Because it feels phoned in to me. It feels like they were just offered a quick paycheck and this was kind of the movie that they were given. You know, there wasn't really any care behind any of this. It was just like, let's wrap this up, let's take our paycheck and let's go home, which is a little bit unfortunate because I think in terms of some of its concepts and some of those kills and what it tries to do at times, it could be very fun and very entertaining as just a bad bear movie. It wouldn't be a great movie, it's not going to be high art or anything, but it'll be something that you can just put on and have a laugh with your friends. And I don't think that this film fully gets there, unfortunately, because it is so phoned in and feels so lazy a lot of the time and just purely incompetent, and not in the fun way, more in the boring and frustrating way, which is a bit of a shame. Look, as a whole, with this movie, I wasn't really expecting much from Savage Hunt. And it still really didn't manage to deliver on my pretty low expectations, which is such a shame. Because once again, I just wanted to have some silly fun with this movie. And even if it gives me that for a moment or two, it doesn't always do it, unfortunately. It just doesn't feel like anything I'm going to think about ever or reference ever. Because it was just a whatever movie, which is a bit of a shame. And as a score, I'm going to have to give Savage Hunt a 1 out of 5. I mean, just purely on the filmmaking craft and what this movie manages to deliver on, it's just incompetent the whole way around. And I'll bump it up to the 1 because there is some sort of entertainment value in some of these kills, but really other than that, it's just pretty poor and it's not quite worth the watch, unfortunately. I do think that this is one of the weakest films of 2025 for sure. And those are my thoughts towards Savage Hunt. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts about this CGI bear because it looks ridiculous and I want to have some jokes about it. Let's have a laugh in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.